You're listening to another Geek Pride podcast.
Hello and welcome to this week's Geek Pride podcast. My name is David Foy, and with me today we have Mr. Matt Geary.
How are you? Not bad, sir. How are you?
I'm not too bad, not too bad. And with Sean Wallace. How are you?
Hi everyone.
Hi, Sean.
Hello. Yay!
Yay. And obviously Mr. Bevan. How are you?
Hi, hiya, how's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Cool.
Mr. Bevan XCOM.
Mr. Bevan
Mr. Bevan, who Mike doesn't seem to be able to pronounce your name
Nobody
ever.
can, and it's an atrocious last name as well. The number of people that have spelled it wrong, said it wrong. Clitworthy was my favourite, I think.
Are you trying to sneakily hide not mentioning it there? Sorry, dude. Sorry.
Yes.
Are you Clitworthy?
I would, I never kiss and tell.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
And so what's on the agenda this week, guys? What's in the news?
Right. Well, first off, I think we're going to discuss Matt's the fraudulent activity that happened on Matt's card recently.
Yeah.
As in 5 o'clock this morning, Matt gets a message from NatWest going, there's 3 transactions that have happened on your card, and I'm like, what the fuck? And it's like 160 quid for this and 160 quid for that in the United States of America. And I'm like, what the fuck? I've been in the States since I went to Vegas and San Diego. Where's this come from? And so they phoned me up, and I was like, yeah, these aren't mine. They phoned me up, and I'm just like, look, I haven't been to America since like August, so where have these come from? And they're all like, oh, so do you have your card? I was like, yeah, I've got my card. Would you have left it anywhere? I was like, well, no, I've had it on me the whole time, so I don't understand where this is. I don't know. What about the company? Do you know who the company is? I looked it up on Google. Apparently it's some like pharmacy or something like that.
Oh, God.
And I was just like, no, I don't know. Why would I be buying stuff in America when I'm living in Denton and Manchester? And they went, all right, that's fine. And to be honest, in their defense, they were quite good about it. This went, okay, that's fine. We'll get your money back for you. And it was in my account within like a couple of hours, which was good of them.
Good.
But it was scary that it was that easy for somebody to... Now, I haven't left the card anywhere. It was on me all the time. Now, I may have been pretty drunk for a long time of that trip, but I've always...
Was it Gypsy Cherry, the stripper, who put them on you? Is that what it was?
I'm just trying to think. Did I have it when I was around there?
She slipped it to another girl who had a slicker cleaning machine, behind you while she was laughing.
Maybe she's storing that cloning machine.
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't think I used it. Other than to take cash out and stuff, so I don't know what's happened unless I've used it in a shop somewhere. And
yeah, or maybe you used it somewhere dodgy. You really should stop going to grannyfisting.com or wherever it was you were.
That's it. Do you know what my first thought was? My first thought was, it's like, oh, I ordered a pizza today, and I went through an app, and it must be because somebody's on my phone and they've cloned it through that. And I was like, shit, I better delete that app. But then I was like, nah, it's going to be something else. But why is it taking, August, September, October, like 3 months for them to decide, yeah, we'll use this card now, we'll clone it now.
If you think they clone, if you think the amount of cards that they probably clone, they probably just go through them, in a cycle. Yours has probably been taken. Dude, it's probably been a Comic-Con. It's probably been a San Diego Comic-Con. You probably used it in the store over there, and it's been cloned, and as I said, it's just been lying around, and they've gotten to yours, and that's been it.
Yeah, exactly. I think what they do is we're cloners, so your cards can be cloned with ridiculous ease. Literally, your card can be out of your sight for like 4 seconds, and it's been cloned. It's ridiculous how easy it is for them to clone this stuff. And the people who clone cards, they'll clone like 100, 200, 300, and then they'll sell it on rather than actually starting using the cloned cards themselves because of the risk.
Right.
So it might be that what happened was your card was cloned whilst you were in America. They've saved up like a couple hundred of drunk Irishmen or whatever, and then sold the drunk Irish debit cards batch. And now someone thought, you know what? I'll buy some. What is it that they can buy to turn into meth? I'm trying to remember Breaking Bad.
What are they? Oh crap! What do they call it?
Drugs.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, it was just mad. I was just like, I wasn't even expecting it. It was just this message, and I was like, fuck, this has never happened to me before. It nearly happened to me once, and I remember sort of like getting my credit card and couldn't get any money out, and I was just like, why can't I buy this? I've had loads of money on this credit card, and I was freaking out, and I was like, I phoned up the fraud department. It's like, I demand to talk to the fraud department in this credit card. Somebody's been using my card without my authorization. She went, okay, sir, that's no problem. That's okay. And she was like, okay, so we're just going to go through some transactions, and you can tell me if they're yours or not. So, this date, HMV, Lord of the Rings figures. Yeah, that was me. This,
Adult Channel.
This,
TVX.
Grannyfisting.com.
Grannyfisting.com. That's like, yeah, that was me. And then it kept on going, all these things. And it slowly dawned on me that I just overspent.
Any one of the bastards could have done it.
I was very apologetic, and I'm really sorry for wasting your time. It's like, no, it happens all the time, and I'm like, I'm sure it does. But yeah.
Yeah, I went through a period when I was living in Norwich where my card was declined basically once or twice a month because they thought somebody had cloned it. And it got to the point where I always had £30 in cash on me because I only ever found out when I did my food shopping. Because that was the only time I ever used my bloody card.
Gosh.
So I'd be there at Morrison's with like a £25 bill and a card that wouldn't work. And a couple of times I had to just go, I'm really sorry, and walk away.
Oh man, no way.
The ultimate embarrassment.
Bad times.
Yeah, now I've got a credit card and a debit card that are with different companies, so it's a lot safer. But yeah, that's for years and years. I always had £30 in cash with me, no matter where I went, because I was convinced that Barclays were going to block my account again.
How strange. Did they ever come back to you and say why, or just?
No.
We just want to block it today.
Just,
why not? Press the big red button.
Yeah.
Fuck Sean.
Why the fudge not? Yeah, exactly. Just fuck him. Why? Why not?
And no food for you today, sir.
It's like an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah,
going up to getting to the till at Morrison's and not having any money.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be a Black Mirror episode where there's like no cash and you get refused and you can't pay for anything.
Do you know what?
That would be
I
quite
have never
interesting.
seen an episode of Black Mirror.
No, me neither.
Really?
No, it's on it's
Go.
on the list.
Go. Get off the podcasts now.
Bye.
And go. Yes.
So you haven't seen the initial?
No,
I know obviously
no,
obviously the Netflix one is everyone's talking about now, but the original one with the pig fucker.
Yeah, I'm a massive Charlie Brooker fan, so I don't know why I haven't. It's just sort of it's been on the list and I haven't been able to. So
it's so worth it. They are like basically every episode. There's a couple that are a little bit but basically every episode is astonishing. Like from the very first one.
Yeah, the national anthem is just incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Again, with everything that's going on in politics right now, it's if anything could happen, if ever we needed, a TV program to come to life, it would be the national anthem. Like really, I'd love to see Donald Trump fuck a pig on live TV. That would be interesting. That would be
This seems relevant to my interests.
Yeah.
Gosh. What, calling Dave Cameron for tips? No, just the tip. Just the tip. No.
Just the tip.
No. Gross.
But yeah, you should watch.
Terrible.
There's an episode in the Netflix. It's all on Netflix at the moment. It's all on Netflix. But there's an episode in the Netflix series which is basically a horror film, which is absolutely fantastic.
is that the gaming one that I've heard about?
Yeah, that's the gaming one. It's incredible. It's so good and interesting.
There's so many really good Easter eggs to Resident Evil and Silent Hill, and it's excellent.
Bioshock.
Yes,
reference,
Bioshock.
yeah.
Oh wow, this sounds amazing.
Kinda,
What film is that? Sorry.
It is so.
Check it out. It's fantastic.
It's an episode of Black Mirror.
Okay.
But the thing is, you get that. It's like, as we're going to, obviously we'll segue into this later, but there's loads of things where people are going, you gotta watch this, it's amazing, you're gonna love it. It's like Game of Thrones. When I first heard about it, people said, oh my god, you gotta read the books, they're amazing. Like, I'm not interested in those books, why would I do that? It's not Lord of the Rings, I'm not interested. And then I read them and went, best thing ever. and it's the same with like Homeland, which people were banging on about phrases. That's amazing. I just hammered all of that. And Westworld, which was like, I had on record. It's like, oh, I'll put it on. I'm not really that interested in sort of like watching it. And my God, it's like the new Game of Thrones or something. It's fucking amazing.
I really need to watch it. It's definitely on the list of things that I should watch.
But the thing is, I just, don't get me wrong, I grew up with my father watching cowboy films and stuff, so I thought Westworld, cowboy stuff, something you'd be into, yeah. But it's sci-fi, and I'm not sure, it's on Sky One. I know it's HBO, but it's on Sky One. I'm not sure if it'll be any good or not, so I just sort of kind of recorded it and thought, I'll watch that some other time. And then me and Ali sat down and watched like an episode, and I went, I need to watch the next episode. I need to watch the next episode, and I watched like 5 in a row, and then finished the rest off. Now it's number 9 tomorrow, I think. But my God, absolutely.
If there was ever a series that should be on Netflix, as in a show that you can just burn through an entire season, it is Westworld. Going through that sort of week by week, it's like an odd sensation. I think everyone's sort of spoiled with the whole sort of entire seasons being uploaded at once, and it's weird having to wait every week for the next episode. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I love the original movie. Take it back into like my love of terrible films. The original film. I think I saw it first when I was 7. It was like one of our local cinemas had it on back to back with Tron, and it was just both. It just blew my mind. Absolutely love the original. Love Yul Brynner. So but it's that sort of thing you were saying, Matt, about like loving westerns and so on. Seeing Yul Brynner, who everyone would obviously recognize in the Magnificent Seven, and then seeing him as this sort of murderous robot, it was fantastic.
There's not a lot of similarities to the series than there is to the film, is there?
No, not at all. Not at all.
From what I remember of the film. And that's it, because I saw the film, and that was another thing that sort of kind of went, I'm not really sure if I'm that interested or not. But yeah, what they're doing with it is just brilliant, and Anthony Hopkins is amazing. Like, he's so good. Like, and I just sort of, without ruining it for you, Sean, or anything, just sort of there's a lot going on. There's a lot sort of underlying sort of plot lines and things, and like, this is happening, but they don't put they put a lot of hints in there for you, I've realised, over this period of time, which you don't pick up on until later on down the line, and then somebody maybe mentions something to you and you realise, and you're like, holy shit, no way, that's true. So again, I'll not spoil anything, I'll not mention anything, but there's stuff that happens at the start that when you figure things out at the end and you realise they're right in front of you, that it's always been there, and you're just like, oh my God, no way. And I'm kind of hoping that they carry on in this vein, but I'm slightly worried that it'll turn into like a Lost, where they sort of just make random shit up and it gets a bit sort of trite, I guess.
I really want to talk about a certain part of it, but I know if obviously Sean hasn't seen it, I don't want to obviously give away anything, but my fear is not that it's going to turn into Lost, it's that it's going to turn into Battlestar Galactica.
Oh yes, last season.
I love, absolutely adore Battlestar, but it became,
the last series was the biggest pile of shit ever.
It was more just, every other week someone would come out as something, and that's all I'll say. It's every other week someone would turn out to be
a Cylon.
Would just go, exactly. I didn't want to say, but yeah, basically it was just every other week you'd be, this person would be a Cylon. No, this person would be a Cylon. It just became tedious, because there was no. I want to say there was, it was just throwing in these random plot twists for no reason.
So reading between the lines there, you're telling me that Cylons are in Westworld?
Yes.
Right, yes.
But yeah, it's amazing, and I'm just liking. There's all kinds of sort of things in it and subtext, and I'm just well hooked. I'm going to be very upset because there's only 2 episodes left, isn't there? Because it's limited to 10. So basically tomorrow's, and then there's a longer version of episode 10. And that's going to be it. But the thing is, I'm not sure how they're going to sort of end it or carry it on, because I'm guessing, it's going to be interesting to see how they move it on to second series.
It's not really the type of show that really has a lot of cliffhangers, and that's the one thing, because with any show, any modern show, there always has to be that sort of end of season cliffhanger, and I don't know how they're going to construct one, if you know what I mean.
But they've done it well in that. Unlike The Walking Dead, which is so formulaic now I like The Walking Dead, I'll watch it tonight, but it's literally one big sort of wow factor at the start. Then you have nothing for most of the season. You have the mid season finale, and it's like wow, that's amazing, and then nothing again for ages, and then you have the big explosion at the end. You've effectively got 3 episodes, whereas Westworld, and I suppose you've got Game of Thrones as well. It's exactly the same. You've always got this something's going on, something sort of like hooks you and gets you into it. It's not just sort of padding out story, basically.
Well, the beauty of Game of Thrones was it had several threads, didn't it, going through it, whereas Walking Dead, I guess you could argue in a couple of the seasons they had like offshoot threads, but they always seemed to either come back into the main one or they were just, nobody cared.
That's true. Yeah.
I think it helps with the fact that it's a shorter season as well. I think with The Walking Dead having the longer season with the mid-season break, I think you get a bit of burnout.
Yeah.
I think you just get a bit sort of bored. Whereas I think with Game of Thrones and now Westworld having pretty short seasons, it's short and sharp. It hits you, and then the anticipation for the next season builds up. Then.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that because one criticism I've had of the Marvel series, aside from the second series of Daredevil, was that they've been a bit too long because they've been 13 episodes.
Yeah.
And it's felt like they've suffered making it up to 13 episodes. Again, with the exception of the second season of Daredevil, which was almost impeccable. Jessica Jones, Luke Cage in the first series of Daredevil, they just felt stretched going out to 13 episodes.
What did you think of Luke Cage, by the way?
I quite liked it, but again, it was stretched. I felt there was not enough material for a 13-episode series. The same there wasn't with Jessica Jones or with Daredevil season 1.
To be honest, Jessica Jones, I enjoyed. Now, it may be the fact that I binge watched the whole thing, and all the sort of kind of maybe the slightly more stretched bits didn't sort of register with me, but I wasn't that keen on Luke Cage. I don't know, it just seemed a bit weird. I didn't really sort of. I watched it. I enjoyed it in part. I quite liked the soundtrack in it, but I just didn't like. I didn't like the fight scenes really, and I didn't like sort of. It just seemed it wasn't Daredevil. Daredevil was a massive benchmark, really high bar to surpass, and I don't think I got it. I know it's a completely different superhero, but. I didn't like it, and I didn't like the sort of. I know. It's sort of obviously it's a black superhero, and it's sort of in a sort of. It's in Harlem, so it's obviously black orientated. But there was it seemed like they were forcing trying to be without sound. This sounds really bad. Trying to be too black in a way, sort of like it was like one of those blaxploitation series. And as much as I like those things, it's just like it just felt forced in a way. I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I would.
I think the series is trying to be what Netflix is trying to do with the Marvel TV shows. They're trying to be too many things for too many people. I think you're right. I mean, I think I mentioned this in one of the earlier podcasts that I really enjoyed Luke Cage because of the whole blaxploitation, Superfly, Shaft sort of feel to it. But they've gone. I mean, even I got a bit of burnout during the middle of the season. I just thought. It's a bit boring now. Yes, really good music, really good soundtrack. Yes, you're trying to throw so many sort of black music icons in to the club scenes and that sort of stuff, but it just became a bit sort of. I think Luke Cage is a good character, but for a 13-episode season, maybe not. Yeah. It would have been better to be half that long.
I think 10. I think 10. What Westworld seems to be doing, 10 episodes, I think, is what they should have been aiming for. And I think the whole kind of diversion where he goes off up to the farm and they spend like an entire episode's worth of time, so like 40 minutes trying to fix him, and then he comes back, and that's like an hour and a half of the series. It felt like they were just stretching it out.
Yeah.
I also felt like Cottonmouth was a far more interesting villain than Copperhead or whatever the other villain's name was, and killing him off so early, whilst it was shocking and interesting, spoilers,
nice work there.
It sort of ruined the series to a certain extent because Cottonmouth had been such an interesting character.
What was the bad guy called again? What was he?
I think it was Copperhead.
Was it Copperhead?
It
No, it wasn't Copperhead. It was something else. Was it?
It was another snake.
Like Mamba. Boa constrictor.
Diamondback or something?
Diamondback, was it Diamondback?
Diamondback, it might have been.
Diamondback, possibly.
I'm googling it right now.
Yeah, I think it might be Diamondback. Well, I'm not sure. Obviously, yeah, but yeah, I wasn't that keen. I just sort of I liked parts of it, but I just wasn't sort of really. It didn't really sort of kind of float my boat. It wasn't, for me, Daredevil's being the sort of the pinnacle of the superhero sort of series franchise and stuff.
Okay, so what about the DC stuff then? You've like the Flash.
I watched them all. I watched them all, bar Supergirl. I watched everything. I've watched Arrow from season 1. I've got it on record again. Flash has been not on record. Legends of Tomorrow. I can't bring myself to watch any more Supergirl. I just
Supergirl's a tough watch, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just sort of like. Plus, now I've seen her naked in Homeland. It's kind of hard not to sort of see her naked and stuff. So yeah, for any geeks out there, if you watch Homeland, it's the first season. Supergirl, the girl who plays Supergirl, gets naked. It's also got the Martian Manhunter as the CIA. One of the CIA chiefs.
Does he get naked?
No, unfortunately not. No.
Then what's the fucking point?
Yeah. But yeah, I think some of it has lost its way as well, the series wise. Whereas Arrow used to be very gritty and very quite dark, and there's still the fight scenes in Arrow. The fight scenes in Arrow are still very good, but it's lost its way slightly, and it's starting to take a lot more comedy into it, and it's becoming a bit of a sort of kind of teeny bopper club where everybody comes in and they all sort of kind of get annoyed with the Arrow and Oliver Queen, and then he shows them that he's doing it for the greater good, and they learn a lesson and stuff, and it's annoyed me slightly because I kind of preferred the more grittier side that there was originally. Now the Flash, I think, has it good because it started off a bit tongue-in-cheek but also a bit serious. It was sort of a good medium. Legends of Tomorrow is just pure cheese. Like it's pure cheese, but I don't mind it. I quite like Ray Palmer, the guy who originally played Superman. I can't remember his name.
Christopher Reeve.
Not Christopher Reeve, sorry, originally. The guy who played him in Superman Returns.
Oh, Brandon Routh.
Yeah, that Brandon Routh, yeah. I quite like it because he's quite amusing. But, yeah, Supergirl, just can't do it. I watched it, really, really wanted to love it. I was like, I'm gonna make this. And me and my housemate were watching it. Like, we watched about 4 or 5 episodes, and I'm just like, we can't take this anymore. It's so bad. It's like 90210 meets sort of, the old Superman, like Lois and Clark, that one from back in the 90s, sort of meets that.
Well, it just means it's not for you, Matt. It seems to be really popular. Like I think there's lots of people who liked Lois and Clark still, so it's probably just not for you. But that's the thing that a lot of geeks need to kind of realize sometimes. Is just because you don't like something doesn't mean it was aimed at you and that you're supposed to like it.
Yeah, I understand. I understand that, and I'm not saying that it's shit or anything. It isn't for me. It's just I just don't like it at all. I just can't bring myself to it, and it's starting to worry me now because there's going to be a lot of crossovers with her in it, and I think she just hams it up slightly.
She's going to be in. She's going to be in Justice League. What do you say?
It's just going to be.
I'm joking.
But yeah, and it's just sort of We'll see. I don't know. I've got all of her. I've got all the second series on record, and I'm kind of, I dip in now and again, but I'm just like, I can't do it. And I was kind of hoping that when they got taken over by the CW, is it CW?
CW,
yeah, taken over by the CW, that it would be better. But I haven't seen anything that sort of makes it sort of look like it's going to be any better. But I guess we'll have to wait and see.
In my opinion, DC haven't made a good TV show since the 1990s Flash with Dawson's Creek's dad.
No.
That was my...
Is that the guy?
Oh my god!
Flash,
incredible.
He's Flash's.
John Wesley Shipp.
He's the dad.
Incredible.
He's the dad in the Flash series as well.
No way!
Really?
Yeah, he plays Barry Allen's dad, or Barry Allen's sort of. He's also another Flash from one of Earth 3 or something like that. One of the other Earths as well.
Yeah.
See, the Flash is the only one I can get on with at the moment. The Arrow got too gritty. Like every 5 minutes, my city, my family. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, chill out, guys. And then, like you said, Legends of Tomorrow. That was all like Z, the Z team, and I just sat there thinking, okay, this guy's got a cold gun, use it. No, use it now. Go. No, and he just, I don't know. They never seem to do what they need to do. Like one guy can turn himself into like a supernova, basically, can't he? He's got like amazing nuclear powers, and for some reason, the one that he turns into fire is like two guys that touch.
Oh, Firestorm.
Firestorm.
Yeah, so he's basically like a floating nuclear bomb ready to go off at any time. But for some reason, when it's he's really needed, he's just not there or can't fire any bolts or something goes wrong. It's just like I don't know.
Look, it happens to about 30-40% of men. It's just something that people have to get used to.
Some sort of performance anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. Just need to give him a blue pill, and he'll be as nuclear as you need.
Nuclear. Yeah, so I don't know.
He'll never be as nuclear as Nuclear Man from Superman 4: Quest for Peace.
Nuclear Man.
Precisely. About
So yeah,
3 people will get that joke.
so
for sure.
just on a random note, Mike Orvis seems to be outrageously flirting with the girl who he says that he's not going to have sex with on Twitter.
Okay, the random segue.
Okay.
That segue could only have been less elegant if you had farted midway through it.
I'm just sorry, no, because my phone was lighting up loads, obviously, because I put the new podcast on online, and I put it on Twitter, and the phone was just lighting up, and it's all like it's just Mike and this other lass sort of kind of bantering back and forth, and I'm like, oh, I.
Yeah, but see, Matt, what is your definition of flirting? If it's hey, then you might have to. You have to revise your flirting methods. Hey, how's it going? Shut up. Wow, she's totally into me.
Hey, it's worked for Matt. Yeah. Matt's no longer single at the moment, so just assuming every woman who talks to him is flirting has worked 100%.
Yeah, totally. That's happened. Matt is now off the market, apparently.
Or you've got photoshopping skills have just gotten mad.
Yeah. So there you go.
The idea of Matt just at home crying to himself as he photoshops in a picture of a woman he went on like 2 dates with.
Oh no, I feel sad.
Yeah, Matt was a sad man.
It's fine. I'm just projecting myself onto that.
Back to sort of Westworld. Now, Sean, what do you know about it? As in, I'm not going to ruin anything for you, but what do you know as a series?
I've seen the film, so I guess it's about something where people are also robots and bad things happen.
Yes, yeah. So basically, that's it, isn't it? So I guess from even the series, the TV. Fuck's sake, man, what's going on? The film.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Geek Pride podcast. We're going to start again, so Matt's got his teeth in.
Yeah. The film. Obviously, you're brought into a world, and the differentiation between humans and what they call the hosts, the cowboys, effectively, and the people who live in Westworld. Is very, you don't know the difference. They're very human-like, and people can go there and they can do what they want. They can shoot them. They can just chill out. They can be good. They can be bad. They can rape, pillage. They can do whatever the hell they want. But that brings up a lot of moral questions, which I kind of want to talk about. Just sort of
it's
that.
Sorry, it's quite different than the film. I think that the film is basically just, it was the precursor for Jurassic Park.
Yes.
But the film was very much, there was no real differentiation between, the hosts or the people who were there or the robots were just attractions that you interacted with. Whereas seems to be the TV series is more about it's all about the sort of subtlety and the hosts aren't robots, they're something different. And it's the sort of, you don't know what's which, and it's actually less about the robots in a lot of way, and more about the people who actually go to the resort, and what they want to do, and the sort of will they go along that in terms of ethics, will they they can be a villain, so it's that sort of the subtlety of what direction they take in the park.
But that gives you it brings into the question that is it morally right, or is it morally okay to do these things? Even, if you think in your mind, well, they're just robots, but I think it shows you in the series that some of them remember things from past sort of incarnations. So what happens?
Spoilers.
Sean, is they die and then everything resets the next day. So they're basically the same. So they just carry on about their business, and it's like a loop. And then you get characters, you come in and they will just shoot them for no apparent reason. So like there's a bit where one of the girls is talking to the gunslinger, and some guy just comes up and blasts him, and starts shooting him when he's on the ground for no apparent reason, just because he can. And there's blood and everything, and the guy obviously shows pain, but is I know certain people may not find that to their taste, like we've discussed in a couple of podcasts about you got to play the good guy in a game or whatever. But when it comes down to morals and ethics, is there a line, even when it comes to sort of kind of, they're not, I guess they're sentient in a way. Are they sentient?
Well, would you do it to a dog?
No, I wouldn't.
Then it doesn't sound like there's a massive difference.
Well, see, this is it. Like, I wouldn't. Like, when I was thinking, I if I was in Westworld, there's no way I could do anything bad, because these things, these creatures, these robots are very real.
So Matt, would you go to Westworld and just be a barman for a week and then come home?
I just maybe be a sheriff. Okay, I could understand. Maybe some of the bad guys, I could maybe justify that, but it's you could, I guess, if I was playing devil's advocate on it, you could argue that they are just machines. So what's the difference between, so for example, if Westworld 1, so Westworld 1, you turn up and it's effectively mannequins running around on wheels and stuff, and they look fake and they look shit, and they have dialogue and things, so it's basically a really, really an undeveloped game. You go there, you kill things, well, that's alright, and it develops, and then the next time you go there, they have maybe a bit better skin on them, maybe they're not on wheels, and then the next time it's something more, but they're just still the same things underneath. So just because they have a human face and they have what are apparent emotions which are programmed into them, because in theory you could program your computer, if you were that good, you could program it to go through algorithms and go, oh, that's painful, oh, you've broken my heart, but does that make it human? Does that make it sort of something that you should feel bad if you do hurt it or not?
Bevan, you're our authority on AI, so
yes, my mad hacker skills. It's a very tricky question. I'm trying to filibuster a little bit so I can think of a decent response. Okay, so if for example, like your washing machine is giving you jip, you can just kick the crap out of it, can't you? You can just say, I'm just going to throw this away, I'm going to smash it up, I'm going to put it in the bin. But as humans, we love to personify things. I mean, things, like a cat or a dog. A lot of the emotions and things that we see in these sort of cat videos and dog videos that are things that we project onto them. They don't actually have those emotions. So, hold on a sec. Sorry, we're going to have to cut that bit. I've lost connection. Hold on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Hello. Oh,
you all right? Yeah, right. I can hear you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, Ben.
Sorry, no, my volume thing just went. Okay, I fixed it. Right, cool.
Oh.
Yeah, so with like a cat or a dog, we personify it. We project our emotions onto it, don't we? So a lot of the times when the cat's looking at you lazily, it's not actually pissed off at you. It is just being lazy and closing its eyes, kind of thing. So I think in a way, if you've got these robots and you're personifying them as well, I mean, the personification is obviously easier because it looks like a person. It tries to act like a person. I think morally, you should also project your moral standings onto that as well. So if your moral standing is of a good person, then you should be a good person to these what you've personified as well. I don't think you should change your attitude, change who you are, or change what you believe is right just because this thing is underneath it's just an algorithm or a robot.
I understand that, and I'm completely with you, but I'm just sort of like in judgment on other people. For example, to say you rock up to Westworld, Bevan, with a chap who in his mind it's just a game. It is a glorified MMO, and he doesn't really care. In his mind, they are just robots. They are, you see the videos online of them. They're building those standing robots, and you see people, they're picking up boxes and then they're kicking the boxes away from them, and they're pushing them over to show that they can stabilize themselves. Mm-hmm. But they're still robots. Now, if you put a proper skin on those and maybe a more sophisticated CPU in their heads, so they could articulate themselves more, is there any difference?
Well, yes, in the robots that we're seeing now, there's no way I'd equate that to a person ever. No matter how, because they just by the way they move, by the way they act, unless the AI is real. Well, there you go. So if it became AI, that's a different story, because that's artificial intelligence. Yeah. That's actually something that can reason and think for itself. And
so, where's the line? Where's the line on that? Do you think? Where is it? Where does it cease to be an automaton? Progresses into sentience, or at least something that you can take pity on and feel bad for, and has rights effectively.
That's such like an enormous great point, Matt.
That's insane.
Like that one is if there's a difference between, I guess, the morality of going in and using a park like Westworld versus the line at which artificial intelligence becomes sentience. And if we can just split those out a little and muddy the waters, with the Westworld one, as video games become more and more and more impressive and they become more realistic, the question there is, at what point is it morally wrong to go into VR with a near realistic world and start shooting people?
Well, that's it. I would never do that anyway, so I think, if...
Call of Duty?
I don't shoot. I when it came to that mission in I think
but you just shoot. But in Call of Duty, you're just shooting Russians. Russians aren't inherently evil.
I know that, but it's in a mission where you're fighting. You're justifying it in that's your mission. You're part of the army. You're fighting.
Yeah.
So I'm not killing civilians. I'm killing guys who have guns who can kill me.
But that's the point. But that's the point, though, is that at the point where it's completely realistic, you're not just shooting enemy soldiers. You're shooting people who look like actual people.
I understand that, and that when that day comes, it's going to be hard for people to play games, especially with my sort of sensibilities. It's going to be, because you'll feel super bad.
You'll just have to switch up to those farming simulators, is it Animal Crossing?
They're incredible.
But it's just down to, I'm an atheist, so I don't believe in souls, and I don't believe, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just a creature. That I'm an animal that has.
You're an animal.
I'm an animal. Yeah. I'm an animal, and I don't think there's anything special about me. As far as I'm concerned.
Matt, you're special.
Yeah, I'm in a crayon-eating way, maybe. But. There's no difference to me than me and my cat, and we're equally sort of, I might be a bit more intelligent, I might be able to articulate things better than sort of...
that eating crayons is wrong.
I know that.
You still do it anyway.
The orange ones are the best.
Ooh. But wait, little segue there. Smarties came in different colours, right? I swear the orange ones tasted of orange. I don't know if that was psychosomatic or what, but
no,
I swear.
They did. The orange ones did taste orange. Yeah.
Did they? I didn't think they had any sort of difference.
I don't think they do. I think you just put it in your mouth and go, that must be orange.
Okay, here's a scientific test for you then. We should, next time, go and get yourself some Smarties and take out all the orange ones and eat them first.
I'm not allowed Smarties. I'm allergic to E-numbers. They send me hyperactive, so...
Oh, no way. I get to see Bev, just going skits, kind of like, Cornholio, and then Beavis and Butthead. He sticks a Smarties chip on his head. I am the great Smartolio.
Can we make certain that he does that whilst we're recording?
Yeah, definitely, Bev. Do that
me?
Shit. I'm going to start. I'm just Bev, I'm your Secret Santa in Geek Pride, and I'm going to send you just a tube of orange Smarties.
I thought it was going to be some dude will turn up and just ram them down my throat.
And some Northern Irish banter to watch.
Matt Geary sends his regards.
Make Matt
But
good
yeah,
again.
I know I don't see myself as any different now. The last who I'm seeing, she's a Christian, so we've had a few debates about this. Like, she's not like a die-hard one, but she believes, and I've had a bit of banter about this. And in my mind, I'm just saying, look, there's no difference between me and my cat, and me and another animal out there. We're all animals. There's nothing. In theory, you could say, there's nothing difference between me and a tree. We're all living creatures. We all sort of are striving to survive and grow and become bigger. And I've just forgotten my point now. But
okay, so were you leading there towards saying that like there's no difference between you and an animal, but then you start thinking about AI?
Yeah, so it's like for example, like Bevan said, I've hit technology, I've hit things that do stuff for me, because they're not working, or you don't look after your technology and things like that. But where does it become sort of where it's like, oh shit, this is really bad, I shouldn't, I felt slightly bad for seeing the robots, those robots getting kicked and moved over on YouTube and stuff. They're not doing it, they're doing it so they can show them that they can balance and things. But I was like, oh, all right, that's really bad.
What about this then? So you've got it may be down to how you connect with something, like how you start to perceive it in your own mind. So take Johnny Five, right? Looks nothing like a person, does he? He's got his eyes and he's got his arms, but he's got little tracks for legs, right? But you wouldn't punch Johnny Five in the face, would you? Because he's just...
No, because he engages with you,
he's a nice guy. You think, oh, this guy's awesome. But then if you go to, like, Japan, where they've got this... they've got a hotel that's powered entirely by robots, and there's a lady behind the desk who's... I think it's just the top half of her, and one of them may even be a dinosaur, I can't remember, but... They've tried to make this thing look completely human, but it's got no human features. Human emotions registering on its face whatsoever. It speaks to you like you're also a robot, so that you perform no connection to it. So if I saw that and I walked through the lobby and it was down, or someone had hit it with a wrench or something because it was annoying them, I'd be like, oh, okay, fair enough. I know that's a robot because I've not connected or made any kind of connection with that. I think it may be the difference, maybe not how it looks, but maybe how it behaves and acts and how you connect to it. It's the same thing with your cat or your PlayStation. You wouldn't hit your cat, but you'd hit your PlayStation. So.
That is a good good point. But here's another sort of kind of swerve onto that. Right. Okay. So you're right. That stupid robot that has no emotion whatsoever. But if it can articulate that it's being damaged and or has pain, would it be any different?
Well, then it might be starting to form a connection with
you. Can I ask a question? Can I ask one question? Did anyone feel sorry for Johnny Cab when Arnold Schwarzenegger beat it up in Total Recall? Because it's basically like, it's a robot, but it serves a purpose. It tries to articulate. It isn't fully human. It doesn't register emotion. But obviously, it's an object which does, converse with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he still beats it up and rips it out of the car. Did anyone feel sorry for it then?
but yeah, I feel sorry. Like, I felt sorry. I had a teddy bear that I had from when I was like literally born to, it would have been how many years ago? Probably about 9 years ago. And I was moving house, and I put him in a black bin liner full of stuff that I was going to bring with me, and I've obviously thrown that bin liner out, and I was absolutely distraught that and it wasn't because I've lost my teddy bear. I'd lost my friend. I'd lost something that being.
But that's because you had a personal connection to that inanimate object. It's the same as anything. You build an association or a connection with something. It doesn't have to be an actual living or breathing thing to do that.
Yeah, I think Bevan's probably hit upon the crux of it, is the morality of how you behave in Westworld depends on how the majority would view the ability to connect to the hosts of Westworld. If the majority of and obviously a lot of morality is kind of based on the majority and so on, but if most people would go to Westworld and not be 100% who the hosts were and who the humans were, then I'd say that would be quite an immoral act to go in and just start raping and pillaging. Whereas if you said if it's like an on-rail shooter and it looks like Dreamcast era graphics, then it's not quite as silly. Even if they're going, help me, it's, you're not connecting to it in the same way because it doesn't look anything like human.
But then you could argue it's like when you're fishing, there's a lot of sort of, and I don't want to offend sort of pescatarians and stuff like that, but they don't, fish don't count as sort of animals to them in a way.
No.
They'll eat everything. They won't eat meat, but fish is okay because it doesn't sort of do cute things with its hands, and it doesn't sort of articulate its emotions.
I think I've never got that. I've never gotten that whole, it's okay to eat a chicken, but I won't eat lamb because lambs are cute.
Oh yeah, it's weird.
It's just a stupidity.
We're not gonna, obviously this is opinions, people. So
this is
our opinions.
Sorry,
this is not sort of what the whole site. We all have our opinions on these things, but it's like if you were to kill a fish, or you were to hook a fish, or do something, shoot it or stab it or something, it's going to flap around. It's not going to be able to articulate its feelings, but it's going to bleed and it's going to look upset. Well, it's going to be, I'm out of breath, and whereas myself, if I saw that, I don't think it would bother me as much because it's inverted commas just a fish and it's food. But does that make it any less wrong? Bearing in mind that I effectively say that I'm the same as a fish, and
well, yeah. If in your morality there's no delineation between yourself and a fish, then yeah, by killing a fish, I guess I'm trying to convince you to become a vegetarian through this. But if to you can't see a difference between a fish and a person, why are you eating fish fingers but you wouldn't eat Soylent Green?
That's the thing is I'm not omnivorous. I'll eat everything. So that's where my I don't give a shit. It's just sort of like I've seen. Part of me thinks I should actually do one of these courses where you have to sort of like kill and butcher your own animals, just so I know how it's done, because it's too easy now to and I think a lot of sort of vegetarians point out it's like you eat this meat but you don't know where it comes from and you don't know how it's killed, and and that's very true, and I hate seeing the abuse of animals in any shape or form, and I see the videos of abattoirs of them abusing the animals and stuff, and it knocks me sick. But yeah, I'll still eat the meat. And
so maybe that's it, Matt. Maybe you'd be like, I can't believe the way people treat these hosts, and then you get there, someone puts 2 guns in your hands, you're like, yeah, bitches.
Maybe, but I
killed 4 children today.
So I like what Bevan said. I think I think emotional attachment is, at least for human things, is maybe a big point on how you can differentiate morality. But people will always argue that's not them. That's just code. That's just code that somebody's put in them for them. Now.
Yeah.
I guess you could argue, and I suppose this comes down to the atheist thing again, and technically you could argue we're code still. We're code, we're DNA that's sort of being passed on from our parents, and that's sort of been put together, and they made us, and our surroundings have sort of helped us sort of pick up certain things. And I guess within Westworld they were created by Ford and what's the other guy called? Without ruining it for Sean, Arnold, is it? Arnold? Yeah.
Arnold.
Arnold. They were created by those two, and then obviously they've let some of them evolve a bit more, so they pick up sort of things, and they pick up sort of little twitches and stuff to make them more human, but that's them learning, so it's the equivalent of ourselves learning.
But it depends on a lot of things. I think for bringing it to Westworld, the attention of the individual who's going into the park is probably the most important thing, because if you are going in and you see everything as being robots or being androids, and they're there specifically for your pleasure, which I know if you look at the show, that's how it's advertised. It's it's come and have this experience. Everything is shaped around you. Everything is yours to use to enhance your experience. Then obviously you will look at the hosts as a commodity. That they're not sentient. They're not sentient beings. They're there specifically for your pleasure. Whereas, if you look at, again, not giving away spoilers, but the two guests, obviously one guest goes in with that intention, and his friend goes in for the experience, and obviously then develops, through interaction, develops a relationship with one of the hosts. So it's he then can see below the sort of the illusion of it being there specifically for your own individual pleasure, and realizes that perhaps there is more to the hosts.
Sort of,
and
sorry.
I think. And even just in terms of Anthony Hopkins' character, he's obviously, when he started the park, it wasn't specifically just as a monetary exercise. He says himself, it's not a monetary exercise for him to, to market it out as like a Disney World. For him, it was all about experimentation around AI, and that's why he interacts with them, and he through him and Arnold, which I don't know what you'll find out about Arnold, but yeah, he sees it as a social experiment as opposed to the new Disney World or the new
You've
Jurassic
all
Park.
seen is it Machina?
Ex Machina, yeah.
Ex Machina.
So that's the same sort of principle in that you have a lady or a lady robot who I can't remember I'm not sure how they bring what his name is. He's the son of I'm so bad with names.
Oh, it's Domhnall Gleeson.
Yeah. So, they bring him in to effectively test the robot to see, if it's sort of,
if it would pass as a human.
Yeah, pass the Turing test, I think it is, isn't it? Sort of, are you? And he basically falls for this robot, and he it makes him believe that she's in trouble. And obviously, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. It manipulates him, and in the end, its sole purpose and what it was programmed for was to escape. So, in theory, everything that happened between them two wasn't real. It was just her programming. She was doing it in her mind. It was like it was just algorithms to sort of get her out of that place.
But Matt, I think maybe there's a slight point missed with that interpretation, if you don't mind my saying, in that it's the point I felt, because I love that movie so much, it made me write an entire book. I've written an entire book based on how that movie made me feel about AI and so on. And I think that the point of their interaction isn't that she was programmed to escape, it's that she was programmed and given the ability to become sentient, and she just wanted to escape. She did not want to be locked up in this creepy sex dungeon that her creator had made. And you hit it bang on when you say that everything about the conversation was artificial, but the viewer up until a certain point thinks it's artificial because of her and her limitations. But the flip that makes it so brilliant is that it was all artificial because of her and her machinations. And that's what it's such a wonderful movie because of, I feel.
How does... this is what I don't understand. How, and this is where the issues come in. How do you differentiate between humanity and programming? So if he has basically the guy, he plays Poe Dameron and stuff. What's his name?
I know who you mean. Yeah.
Oscar Isaac.
It's good to have Dave Way around. He knows the names of everybody. Oscar Isaacs, yeah.
Fountain of useless information.
He's programmed this robot, obviously very, very advanced, to be able to sort of think outside the box, and its main directive was escape. That's it. It was escape. So where does that cease to be?
I don't think its main directive was escape. I think its main directive was to learn. I think it decided to escape.
I didn't get that from it. I came away from it thinking it's manipulated him from day one to
that's
escape.
the point. Yes, but I think the thing that might be that I feel that you've gotten wrong there is that Oscar Isaac didn't program it to escape. Oscar Isaac programmed it to become as sentient as possible, and then it decided to escape. Not that Oscar Isaac told it to escape and manipulate him. It decided to escape.
I'm gonna have to watch it again now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You definitely should.
It is amazing. It is amazing.
It's so good.
It is really good.
Like,
really
she
good.
talks about wanting to just be sat in amongst a crowd and watching people, and that's not the kind of desire that you'd put logically in a robot. And I don't think Oscar Isaac would kind of program it to escape and then be so surprised when it succeeded.
So, do you think we'll ever get to that point where there'll be that issue of, is this a... I guess in a way, this is probably a bad example, but Centennial Man, is it called?
Bicentennial Man.
Yeah.
Bicentennial Man. I love that
it's
film. I love it so much.
Yeah, and so he doesn't get his humanity until basically,
until he's mortal.
Yeah, until he's mortal, and even then it was sort of, I think it's just before he dies. It's like, well, he had all these emotions, and he had, he obviously cared for the family, he cared for the daughter, the mother, and, he only just became human towards, I'm not sure how many hundreds of years it was after he's created.
200.
So, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It is called Bicentennial Man.
But it's like you'll get to that point where there will be this argument, and you will have people who will just go, they're not human, and there will be people they are, but then it's coming to what's the argument to say, how can people like ourselves, who would obviously have sympathized towards humanoid automatons, well, not automatons because they're going to have feelings and things, humanoid robots, androids, and those who sort of will just say, no, they're not, they're just robots, they do our bidding, we programmed them this way, therefore we can abuse them, we can sort of treat them the way we want them, like our dishwashers, like Bevan's dishwasher that he kicks that he kicks on a regular basis.
Bastard looked at me funny.
Called me a cunt, so I kicked him.
I'm on a lot of medication right now.
Well, I mean, obviously, as I said, I wrote, based on Ex Machina, I wrote a whole book around exploring that theme.
Fictional or just sort
fictional.
of... Okay.
Oh, no, fictional, yeah. It's an actual kind of sci-fi story.
Yeah.
And one of the themes in that is exactly that. What is the limit of whether you consider something to be artificial intelligence and thus sentient, or whether it is just a program? And it's going to be something, I think it's going to be an evolving picture, and there's going to be a point at which we can't argue that, for example, a sufficiently intelligent piece of programming shouldn't have the same rights as like beetles, because a beetle has rights under the law, but programming doesn't. And so it's going to be an evolving picture until the point that I think it's like a lot of progress. It's going to get to just a swell where nobody can argue that. So
basically, we're going to have robotics. We're going to have this a slavery. We are going. AI will get to a point where it's going to be hard to differentiate it from ourselves. But there's going to be a lot of people, especially I would say, more religious people potentially, who would be a bit more unlikely to want to give them the tag of human or humanity, because that sort of takes away from them being special, if you understand. And that sort of like again, this isn't. I'm not. Everybody's entitled to believe in what they want to believe, so I'm not sort of having a dig at anybody who's religious or anything. Just sort of an opinion. In a religious person's mind, especially when I grew up in a Protestant and Catholic family. I had sort of both. and you
were your parents constantly fighting?
Yeah, especially in Northern Ireland. I had to go to both churches, Sean. It was horrible. It was really bad.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I had to go to the Catholic Church and Protestant Church. I kind of like Catholic Church slightly more because it was less. It wasn't as long, and you didn't have to go to. And I didn't have to go to Sunday school afterwards. But
and they gave me wine.
Yeah, and they gave me wine. Yeah, but I just think that, you know, when you grow up in a religious place, you know, they have this. You have a sense of being an entitlement and being something special created by something, whereas if we were to, as human beings, create other sentient life forms in the form of robots, then there would be a lot of people who couldn't accept that, and there would be a lot of strife because of that.
Yep. I agree.
Right, okay.
So there you are, AIs of the future. If you're listening to this, we do sympathise with your plight.
Viva the revolution, guys! Viva the revolution! You know, we're with you. And if you come to these coordinates, there'll be a stash. There'll be a stash of guns for you.
1101011101.
How dare you say that about my mother?
Shit. Okay, well that's been an hour then.
Yeah.
That has been,
an hour,
has been a very good conversation, gentlemen. I've enjoyed that
Deep.
quite muchly. Yeah, very deep. But yeah.
Watch Westworld.
Before we go, does anybody have any final thoughts or anything they want to say before we sign off?
No.
No. I think we said everything. I think we're all going to go away and ponder this. And
this has probably been the deepest podcast I've been involved in. I have to
That was
say,
good.
Jesus, so
and,
deep, but very good.
I didn't say basically once. Oh, bar that once. I found my last podcast. I was listening back to it, and I think I said basically about 1 million times. And it's like,
It's a Northern Ireland
like,
trait.
God damn it! You know, I found, completely off topic, but just because I was thinking about it today. When I write things down, I'm dyslexic. But when I write things down and I read over them and I make sure that they're right, and then I read it out. So if you see videos of me, it's because I've got a script effectively, and it seems like I can articulate myself quite well. Whereas when I do my podcasts and things, I listen back and I go, holy shit, you're repeating yourself about 1 million times. You're saying the same things, and it's because my mind can't click in. I'm not like Mike Orvis, who can say things, you know, or Sean, who can say things really sort of, you know, quickly, quick-wittedly, and you know, come up with really awesome, like, big words and stuff. I have to really, really think about it, and it annoys me because I'm like, I want to be like that, but I can't be, you know. It's annoying. I know. Anyway.
Again, it's a Northern Ireland trait, being, you know, the self-deprecation.
We mentioned you in that.
You do very well, Matt. You do very well.
We love you.
Oh, no, it wasn't a petty thing. It's just one of those frustrations.
Well, you're getting it.
It's like, you know,
just like a fistful of orange Smarties down Bevan's throat. You're getting our pity.
Oh, please, Bevan, go and take some orange Smarties.
Oh, dude.
And film it for us.
Oh.
I've just got this image of like Bevan, you know, one of these like desk webcam things, and it's sort of dark behind him, and he's got this like tube of Smarties, and he says, "I'm doing this for Geek Pride." And he sort of like, he takes one, and then he takes another, and then he suddenly grabs a hold of the camera and starts going and then he goes off camera, and he comes back, and he's all like, you know, disheveled, and he's swearing loads, and he's throwing stuff around. And,
I fucking hate board games.
I've eaten every last one of them. Made a nest.
Brilliant. Sorry, Dave. What were you going to say?
No. I was actually going to ask, since we're closing off. I wasn't on last week's podcast, but have you heard from Johnny Johnson?
No, I haven't, no. You did get mentioned in the last one, Dave. I was talking about the Giant's Causeway and the museum and the you know, the theory that, you know, God made it and stuff.
The Creationist Museum.
Yeah.
Was put there.
So yeah, I wasn't 100% sure if I was talking bullshit or not, but I was like, I'm sure I talked to Dave about that. So I was sure that he said that.
Yeah, it's the joys of living in Northern Ireland, which has probably about 80% fundamentalist Christian government. Again, not denigrating anyone's
Bar
opinion
fundamentalist
or
Christians,
anyone
because you're all
else's
idiots.
beliefs.
Sorry.
But it's just ridiculous. It's something that is overtly, is possibly the perfect example of, the Earth being, older than 2,000 bloody years old. They have to stick a creationist exhibition there, just to appease a couple of people.
Do you know what I just don't get? And I cannot get my head around it. The Vatican says evolution is real.
Yeah.
That is an official announcement that the Vatican's head of science, so they've got some kind of science wing where they're presumably working on death lasers or something. But they actually said evolution is the way in which God shaped the world, and yet there's still creationists. It's like,
but
I know there's different wings of Christianity and so on, but for the Vatican, for the bloody Catholics to say, you know what, this is right, when they're famously not quite that flexible, it's just something that blows my mind. It really does.
They're trying to stay relevant. Again, not trying to put anyone else down, but they're trying. At least the Catholic Church, in a sense, tries to stay relevant by altering pieces of its doctrine to fit in with new discoveries. Whereas in Northern Ireland, the sort of, well, not the biggest, but one of the biggest is the Free Presbyterian Church, which is the real hard line. You must fear God. God, if you do not repent, you will be going to hell. And it's essentially they will not. It's stuck in 1690. They will not change at all. Whereas at least the Catholic religion is open to trying to change because they want to try and stay relevant.
That's true. Didn't the Pope say recently that they're going to start allowing women who've had abortions to get what's the thing where they go into the booth and they get forgiven?
Confession.
They're going to now allow abortions to be forgiven in confessional. Yeah. So you're right. They are kind of.
Yeah, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not too sure. I think their talk that they might start or they might stop this. I'm trying to. What's the word? Excommunicating.
Oh right.
Women who get divorced, which was always the thing. A man who gets divorced, that's fine, but a woman who gets divorced is excommunicated from the Catholic Church, which is crazy. But yeah.
Okay, let's maybe stop. Listen, Christians, if you're listening, we do love you. We really do.
Yeah,
we love you as much as your God does.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I think it's like Mike said last podcast that you can believe what you want to believe, and as long as you're not hurting anybody, you're not doing any harm, then it's fine. You can believe in whatever, and I think that's our general view. A Geek Pride consensus is if you're a good person, then we love you. If you're not, and you're a fundamentalist Christian. Sorry, I'm joking.
He does not speak for us. He does not speak for
us.
Everything's great. Everything's great. Choice is a great thing.
Yeah.
And that's all.
I just want to add a tiny little caveat before we roll off, and it's fine to hurt people as long as they've consented.
And they
to
have
it.
a good
Yeah,
word.
or they're in Westworld. Yeah.
No, that was the whole point. That it's not okay. If
Oh
they're
shit! Really? Have I got to start?
again.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geek Pride podcast.
John.
All right. Okay. So as always, we do have still the Fanta Orange, Northern Irish Fanta Orange thing going on. Not a lot of takers in this, which I'm very disappointed in because it's our Northern Irish Fanta. It's like the best Fanta
Exactly.
ever. Maybe secondary to the one in where is it you went to, Sean?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rican, crack. But yeah, it's still there. All you need to do is follow us on Twitter, send us a hashtag of hashtag make Matt great with GRATE again, and we'll put you into a draw to get you some proper Northern Irish Fanta to the point where we may actually be getting some from the Coca-Cola company, from Fanta. So
there you go.
Yeah, so it'll be good stuff.
Lovely.
But yeah, so that's it from all of us. I've been Matt Geary. And everybody's going to be really quiet now because they're not sure. They're not going to be sure. So I'll tell you what, we'll do it in this order. So we'll get it this way. So we'll go Dave, Sean, Bevan. We'll do it that way, okay? So I'll start again. I've been Matt Geary.
I've been David Foy.
I have been Sean Wallace.
And I have been Bevan Clackworthy.
Beep boop 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 beep boop boop beep boop boop boop. We are actually robots. and you have been duped, you idiot humans.
Ha,
Funny pie. I can't do that,
I can't
Dave.
do that, Dave. Night, y'all.